Welcome to ETF Edge, your go-to place for everything exchange-traded funds. I'm your host, Bob Pisani. On Friday, the SEC chose not to appeal an important case on a spot Bitcoin ETF, making that long-awaited ETF much more likely. Joining us now, someone who very much has a dog in that fight, ARK Invest CEO Cathie Wood. Also joining us, Tom Lydon, Vice Chairman of VettaFi. Cathie, you're one of the 9 applicants for a spot Bitcoin ETF. It does look like the SEC may be forced to approve a spot Bitcoin ETF. Can you tell us what, if any, communications you've had with the SEC and what else we might know about this? How do we push the ball forward here?
Well, actually, our partner, 21 Shares in Europe, did answer or send in information in response to SEC questions. And we sent them in on Thursday, I think, or it was publicized that we did. So what we see here is a little bit of a change in the SEC's behavior. They actually are asking questions, and we provided 5 pages along with our partner of answers to those questions. So progress, we would say, yes.
Yeah, one thing I noticed, Cathie, is that the interest in Ether futures ETFs, which only started a couple of weeks ago, and we had some of the people on from ProShares involved in that, has been rather muted since they were introduced a couple of weeks ago. I'm wondering if a spot Bitcoin ETF is really going to move the needle this time. It's interesting because Bitcoin's been sideways for months, and yet we've known that this ruling came in, and it's known that they likely may not appeal, and yet doesn't seem to be moving Bitcoin. It's up a little bit today. Is interest a little more muted in Bitcoin than it used to be?
You know, judging by the questions we're getting, no. I think many people focus on our price target for Bitcoin, and our base case is over $600,000 by the year 2030, and they really want to understand that. So maybe they're just trying to understand our research, but there's definitely a focus on, is this a new asset class that I should investigate? And I would say institutions, especially, when they see the SEC seal of approval in this way, I think this will finally bring institutional interest into Bitcoin.
Are you on board with that idea? I mean, what's interesting to me, and the reason I ask is when the Bitcoin futures ETF launched, BITO from ProShares, we had Simeon Hyman on. Yeah. This was, almost 2 years ago, and boy, the interest was through the roof on this.
$1 billion in a day,
huge.
Right?
And we've got a few $1 million in the Ether futures. Am I being petty here?
No, I don't think so, Bob. I think we're at a critical point in time. This issue with Grayscale is forced the SEC's hand. And really, up until Friday, when they had their deadline, the SEC and Grayscale just weren't talking. Now that they've passed on this appeal date, they're forced to have a conversation. All during the last few weeks, though, they've been talking to ARK, they've been talking to all the other applicants, which gives good confidence that this is going to happen. And when it does, it may take a few months. We do a lot of surveying, as you know, with the folks at Bitwise and advisors for the last 5 years. The big issue is they don't feel like they have real access to cryptocurrency just because of their platforms. Now, if we have a spot opportunity in a whole variety of different issuers, that will change.
So you agree with Cathie's point that this will increase institutional interest?
It absolutely will. Okay. Yeah, because it's on platforms as opposed to exchanges that still aren't regulated.
Yeah. So my understanding here is the court will issue its mandate. It'll tell the SEC this is what you have to do to be in compliance, and they'll move from there. We should know fairly soon about what's going to happen here.